All right, our final segment of the day. We're going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints and Derek Carr. So I believe the way I phrased this segment was, if I'm not mistaken, I just want to make sure I pull it up correctly so I don't catch us off guard. But it was, how far can Derek Carr take the Saints and the Derek Carr debate? So I'm going to go into a little bit of rant eventually, but first I want you to just tell me what you think, and I'll get into the Derek Carr debate because that's more Raiders fan base stuff. But before we get there, you talk New Orleans Saints and Derek Carr. Go ahead.
Okay, so Sunday's performance was absolutely terrible, man. 9 points. Actually, I want to get this out the way first because I know some Saints fans maybe will try to say this. I don't know. I don't know because a lot of people I haven't seen it a lot, but I know it could be used. Derek Carr's injury has nothing to do with his performance on Sunday.
No.
He said he's good to play. If he says he's good to play, the option to play Jameis Winston was always there. He said he's good to play. That excuse completely goes out the window. He missed on throws. That's his fault. That's not his arm's fault. He missed on those throws. Okay, now with that being said, Sunday was probably his worst game. Well, it was his worst game as a Saints. I think he had like 3.4 yards per attempt.
Yeah.
Like that ball was not moving past 5 yards. It looked like Desmond Ritter football out there. It was absolutely terrible to watch. There was a few deep shots that he took, overthrown, underthrown. It never was on target deep. He just underthrew some passes in general about that mid-range, 15, 10, 15 yard, just underthrew them. And you can't blame that on an injured arm. And it looked bad. Alvin Kamara came back. He had 13 receptions for 33 yards. That is less than 3 yards of reception, man. Like you really got to think. And a lot of those yards came up his play, his run after catch ability. That did not come from like it was just all bad. I mean, I don't know if the Buccaneers played too high safety and that was just scaring Carr. And the Saints haven't been able to move that ball much downfield. But the argument that a lot of people bring up, and I'm still willing to lean towards it, is Pete Carmichael has not been calling good games. Week one, honestly, I thought it was a pretty good game by Pete Carmichael. They used a lot of motion. You do a lot of things to trick the defense to get the offense rolling. Week two, a bad game against the Panthers. Derek Carr had a pretty bad game again. Week three, I really thought Derek Carr things started rolling, and then he got the injury. So I really just can't have an opinion about that one. And then obviously here week four, it was a bad performance by Carr.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the Dennis Allen press conference, and he mentioned because they kept on asking about Carr. You probably watched it too. I mean, I die for watching Saints content because it was my quarterback for 9 years, and I still feel like we did him wrong. And I've watched this guy struggle, and I watched this guy play good. I watched that game. The line looks better. Your
Oh
offensive
yeah.
line looks better. Okay, so that's a positive. The defense is looking a little bit worse. It's looking a little bit worse. I think it's because the offense isn't really scoring and they're keeping them out there so much.
I
So,
believe that.
yeah, I mean, that's probably the case. From an offensive point of view, Dennis Allen mentioned, he said that he thinks that Carr really only missed two throws. The one deep shot down the sideline where he underthrew, which I agree. And then he had one to Michael Thomas. He said he threw it a little bit behind him. I
Hmm.
remember a few extra throws. I probably see the two deep shots that he took. I think they were just like, helmet, just throw it up and see if this guy can go get him. I don't really remember him missing too many other throws, like missing. The issue is, and the announcers keep saying it too, when the announcers are saying it, it's kind of an issue because the announcers aren't football gurus, right? Some of them played the game, some of them know the game, but they're not offensive coordinators need to be masterminds. And when the announcers are sitting there and saying that this offense looks abysmal, they're not looking like they're running good concepts. They're either running when it's 3rd and 7 and they got a bunch of deep shots and there's nobody underneath for checkdowns and stuff. And Carr just sitting there like a standing duck. Sometimes he was able to make a play with his feet, like move up in
Hmm.
the pocket, step up, look, and there's nothing there because there's nothing creative in the offense. And another time too, I saw Dennis Allen mention this. They were in like 2nd and like 4 maybe, and they did that touch pass to like, I forget, it was a wide receiver, then it was a reverse to Kamara, and
Yep.
it was like 10 yards. Now it's 3rd and 12. You just
And
move
yep.
yourself out of position to keep the offense in rhythm. That can't happen. So I'll let you. Do you have something about that? I mean, that
Yeah,
play.
so that was on the first drive of the game.
Yeah.
It went to Taysom Hill and then Taysom Hill snapped the ball, gave it to Derek Carr. Derek Carr pitched it. Nobody got tricked by Derek Carr. Nobody was worried.
No.
They had one safety watching him. The other 10 players on the field are watching Alvin Kamara. That's just simply why the play didn't work. And then, yeah. Now, see, the thing is, with about that is last year, Pete Carmichael was calling the most boring offensive games possible. There was no movement pre-snap. There was nothing special about the offense. It was all bland football. This year, he's getting way too cute.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that balance when he's calling these games because the offensive line seriously looked better last week. I mean,
Yeah.
Carr had his time, but now he's constantly looking 30 yards downfield. There's nothing short, and I just don't know. And the running game, I'll talk on the running game too, because a good quarterback needs a good running game.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara looked awesome running the football. No one else does.
Yeah.
And now that's a small sample size because Kendre Miller had 1 carry after having only 9 carries last week. He's still rookie. He only has 10 carries between his first 4, or really his first 2 games. He doesn't even have much of a sample size. But you need to take some of this pressure off Alvin Kamara. So you got to get this run game going so Alvin Kamara becomes more of a threat in the receiving game because 13 for 33, I'm assuming someone's just watching him at all times. What you would already be watching him at all times, but now you're more alert because he's got 13 receptions. He wasn't getting much past the catch. So I think a lot to blame the Pete Carmichael, and that's where I lean. Even though I don't want to give Derek Carr too much of a pass for this game because he did miss another. It wasn't a deep ball. It was about a 10-yard, 15-yard pass to Olave on the outside, and it was just a bad underneath ball that didn't reach him.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that one. Yes. But like that's what I mean. Again, every quarterback's going to miss throws, and it's no excuse. It is no excuse. I mean, there's going to be misses throughout a game. The offense needs to be able to. Like my issue with watching the Saints is when Carr does miss a throw, it feels like everyone needs to point their finger at him because it does feel like holy crap. That was like it'll be 3rd and 7. He'll miss a throw, and it's like 4th down. It's like damn. He misses one throw, it completely ends a drive for this offense, and that can't. I don't understand why one mistake is messing up this offense. It should not happen. They should be able to miss throws and still be able to go down and score points. One thing with the run game, you're right. Kamara looked good, but one thing Alan mentioned, and I saw it too, he kept getting tripped up. He has some runs where he bursted through that hole and he tripped up and he got 3 yards. If he stayed on his feet and he didn't get tripped, he might have 12, 15 yards. I mean, that shows me promise. It just shows that. And Dennis Allen also mentioned the turf. I think they changed the turf this year. He said a
Something
lot
was
of
wrong
players
with it.
are slipping around, and he said that this is what the NFL wants them to use, this type of turf. But he said they're going to change their cleats for next week, or next time they're at their home game, to try to make sure they're all on the same page with the conditions out there. Another thing mentioned too, Jawan Johnson supposedly was going to be a big part of the game plan this week, and I guess he was a game time decision. I guess he kind of got banged up, and they didn't have him out there.
He was active, but he didn't take a snap. He literally jogged on the field on the first drive and jogged right back off.
Yeah. And one other thing I'll mention, I mean, because that hurts the game. Who knows? Maybe Pete Carmichael had a big plan for him that game, and he wasn't. And Foster Moreau was also inactive. And last but not least, the other thing that drives me nuts more than anything, as a coach myself, the lack and the piss poor effort by, and I just saw that one play, but Chris Olave.
I heard a lot about that.
Insane.
I'll be honest. I actually didn't see a lot of it.
Yeah.
But the video surfaced, and yeah, you don't want to see that. And I'll be honest. I don't want to bash too much on Chris Olave about it right now because been absolutely stellar through the first 3 games.
Absolutely.
But I mean, when your QB's looking for somebody, you step up. You don't slow down. If you're looking for anything, and so even though I didn't see much of it, I mean, that's all I've been seeing for the past 3 days, and that honestly upsets you a lot. You don't want to see someone just give up on the field. You don't want to see someone give up. Like, you're 3 games into the season, you're not even below 500 right now. Your QB missed you a few times today. You be a lifeline for your QB. You don't slow down.
And as a coach, that drives me nuts. And one thing I'll tell you about Derek Carr, that drives him nuts. I'm telling you. One thing about Carr is his confidence, his trust. Like, I'm telling you, he turned Aguilar into a 1,000-yard receiver. He turned Zay Jones into almost a 1,000-yard receiver. He had some good shots to Deshaun Jackson. He had great career with Amari Cooper when he had him. He's able to make pretty, okay guys great. Olave is great. And I'll tell you something right now. He has more confidence in Michael Thomas and Rashid Shaheed than he does right now Chris Olave. And that's an issue. I don't know if it must be something on the practice field. They're just not seeing eye to eye. I really do think there's something there because I've seen this before. I've seen this before with him. If he doesn't have the confidence to give him the ball, he's not going to give him the ball. So a lot they got to start working. Carr even mentioned in his press conference, he said we're going to get to work this week and we're going to figure a lot of things out. I think that's kind of going towards Olave because I'm telling you, I've seen this before with him. He needs to have 100% confidence in the guy, and when he does have that trust and confidence, it's a whole new game. I promise you, it's a whole new game. It's totally different because he's going to give them 50-50 shots and they're going to make it happen for him. They're going to make it happen for him because they got really good weapons. What do you think? I mean, as a all in all aspect of last game, you got to scratch that one out and look forward. What are you feeling going forward? I mean, what do you think this team's going to figure it out?
So first of all, the defensive performance, it wasn't bad. You don't want to say the defense was bad. The problem there is, first of all, they really held the Bucks to 7 points in the
Yeah.
first half. Adam Prentice fumbles the ball right at the 1 yard line, and now the Buccaneers, like, they made that stop in the red zone. Adam Prentice at the 1 yard line fumbles the ball. Bucks get right back. I don't blame that on defense, not one bit.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, you're asked to stop a team at the 1 yard line, and you're asked to make big stops. So, but let's say, okay, they had those 14 points. The team couldn't get off the field after third down. That's where it all comes down to. I mean, third down was, it's almost like you knew what was coming on third down, because first down you get a good stop, second down they make it third and manageable, right? Third and 7, third and 6, something like that. You know the first down was coming. Those guys are tired. The drives were long. You're not getting much time to rest, and nah, it was a stressful game. Defense, though, our defense is safe. I don't see anything wrong with the defense. Even Isaac Yadom
Yeah.
still stepping up. Alontae Taylor probably didn't have as good a game last week as he did this weeks before. But I don't see a problem with the defense, except for the pass rush is non-existent. I mean, and Baker Mayfield climbed the pocket perfectly, but I seen Tristan Wirfs completely take guys out to play. And there's effort there. There is still effort, but they are not getting past one-on-ones. And I don't know what the issue is there. I didn't see much of Cam Jordan that game. I don't know what the rush numbers were, but one of the biggest problems that I've seen was penalties, and I'm not talking about the Saints getting penalized. They are, I don't have the numbers with me right now, but I can tell you right now, the Saints are severely underpenalized compared to their opponents this season.
Yeah.
And there's no advantage being taken right there. Your opponents are being penalized at crazy numbers. I mean, honestly, every game I've seen opposing teams' fans complain about the penalty, saying the Saint, like, it's against them, like it's,
Yeah.
and we're not taking advantage of that. You're given back help, not in it's mistakes
Yeah.
by the other
Oh,
team,
absolutely.
but it's an additional factor on why you should be winning, and there is no advantage being taken there.
I look, and one guy I'll mention from that defense that I've been liking seeing is Brian Brisset. He was my
Hmm.
number 2 ranked defensive tackle. He's looking really solid for this team. He's making a lot of plays. I'm loving him. But here, all right, here's another thing I want to mention. Defense is looking good. This team to me looks like they're in a solid spot. So I know it's 2-2. I know everyone feel like the sky is falling on top of them. I still feel like they're probably going to go 10-7, and we'll talk about our future prediction in a second. But real fast, the other part of this was the Derek Carr debate. So I just want to give for 2 seconds here
Hmm.
why I protect this man alive. And I'll be honest, because there's a background too, and a lot of people don't understand. In 10 seasons, he's had 9 different head coaches and 9 different offensive. No, now it might be 10 different offensive coordinators with Pete Carmichael. So in 10 seasons, okay, that's how many different head coaches and offensive coordinators he has. He's never had a top 20 defense. He finally has it. Okay. He's been through how many rebuilds now? He was with Dennis Allen right when he first got there, and they started a rebuild with Jack Del Rio. Jack Del Rio started building stuff. Then John Gruden came along. John Gruden came along, and then Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels gets rid of him, and now he's to New Orleans. New Orleans isn't rebuilding, but it's a new system he needs to learn. So it's a lot of stuff going on for him. He's never had continuity or chemistry at the wide receiver position. When he has had continuity and chemistry, think about Amari Cooper. He was a 1,000-yard receiver. Think about Michael Crabtree when Crabtree was there for more than 2 years. The dude was absolutely going off. I mean, the dude really. Crabtree sort of fallen off towards the back half of his career. He really picked it up when he went with Derek Carr. Nelson Aguilar looked really good with Carr when they started getting continuity and chemistry. Like I said, Zay Jones started looking good. Darren Waller looked good, right? Henry Ruggs that second season finally started to look really, really good for the Raiders. there's so much stuff when this guy has continuity chemistry, has the same coaching staff and the same play caller for a few years, he's able to put it together. He's never had a top 20 defense. Everyone says, well, he's a loser. He's a loser. He never won. When you don't have a same coaching staff, you don't have a team built around you, you don't have the same weapons, it's tough on a quarterback. And I think the Saints will finally give this to him. So even in year one, if this team makes the playoffs, which I would be like, I'm all right with that. If they make the playoffs and they don't go far, I'm fine. In year two, I expect a big jump. But again, if they move on from Keith Carmichael, it's a different play caller. So you really got to be careful, because if you give Carr a 2-year leash and you change play calls in a year and a half, it's going to be tough. So looking at Carr's career, do you think this man has been given, because that's another part of the segment, a fair shot? Has he been? I mean, so far, I don't think so. I mean, maybe you'll say yes, he has. Quarterbacks go through some stuff. I'll defend any quarterback though that goes through stuff like this. But what's your honest take? I mean, so far throughout his career, and even year one with New Orleans, I mean, this is a new situation, new team, new teammates. I mean, does he have some slack? I mean, I don't feel like he does, because he's brought here to win now. So.
Well, when it comes to has he had a fair chance throughout his career, I don't think any quarterback has a fair chance with a bad defense. I mean, unless you're Patrick Mahomes or somebody who can really elevate your offense. But I've watched Drew Brees for so many years bring the team to the playoffs and still not be able to do much because you're giving up 30, 40 points a game. And if Drew Brees can't do it, how much harder is it for Derek Carr to do something like that? So I wouldn't, going towards the head coach and offensive coordinator part, I might be a little more iffy on that. Like, you still got a job that you got to go in and do, and so I'll be a little more iffy on that. But when you don't have a defense that can help you out with these situations, that's when I think it becomes like okay, there's some slack there because you did what you need to do and someone else isn't doing their job.
Yeah.
So I think you got some slack when it comes to the defense and not ever having that top 20 defense. This season, I'm giving so week one, he actually had a pretty good performance. It didn't look as good at the beginning, but he actually had a pretty okay performance. Terrible interception, but a good performance. But they only scored 17 points, I believe, or six. It might have been 16 to 15. So they probably scored 16 points week one, and it's like, okay, first time with this team. Okay, no problem. You'll get it better next week.
Yeah.
The week after, not as good of a performance, but bounce back in the second quarter, and he's making big time throws in these games. That's winning the game in essential. You're getting a big play that's allowing you to run his clock out, and he did that both week one and week two. Week three, though, I really wanted to see something, and because that's when you've had 2 games of experience, you should have a step up, and it looked like he had that. Scored. It might not have been on the first drive, but you scored in the first half,
Yeah.
which was they didn't score touchdowns first half all season. So he did, and then they had 17 points going into halftime. One of those being a punt return for touchdown by Shaheed.
That guy is amazing. I just love him. Shaheed is phenomenal. He really is. I mean, that's a difference-making play. So I like him a lot. But go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
And so like he only had 4 drives of offense in that first half, so you don't know what if he was going to go on an absolute tear, right? He could have put up another touchdown or something. So I thought I was finally seeing that from him, and then the injury happens in week 4. You can't blame it on the injury because he said he's good to go. I really am starting to look at is this really all Pete Carmichael? Because the Carr missed his throws for sure, and he did not want to move that ball downfield. But maybe because every other receiver is downfield and they're not open, so you're throwing to your bottom guys. It's been when I had to write my ups and downs article this week,
which was good. Everyone
go
give it a read. Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know who you look at. I don't know. Can you blame Pete Carmichael all this? Is this Derek Carr? Is this just every single thing, punching you in the mouth at once? You couldn't run the ball really, except for with Alvin Kamara. Your offensive line played pretty well, so that's your one thing that finally went well. Your offensive coordinator is struggling to give you a good game plan, and Derek Carr couldn't make the passes that he needed to make. So there was a lot of things all at once. But I think you still give Derek Carr, you put trust in him because you signed him for $150 million, so you have no choice, really. You still put the trust in him, but I think I need to see something in these next 2 weeks at least. I think that's your timetable, is these next 2 weeks right here, because if you don't see something after 6 games, you only have 10 games remaining, or 17 games now, right? You only have 11 games remaining. Yes. So You really need to see something coming in these next 2 weeks. I need to see that defense do their job, which they have done every single time. The most points that they allowed this season was to the Buccaneers, but can't get off the field. So
That's the biggest concern right now, right? Is that when the defense is playing very good, and then eventually they're gonna let up points. I mean, if you don't score points, I'm going to continue to say, and again, I'm a Derek Carr guy, right? But I'm going to continue to say the truth that the defense is doing their job. I mean, they're gonna Baker Mayfield's gonna move around. He's put, like I said, he's playing like his hair's on fire because this is his last chance if he doesn't do anything. This is his last chance. He can throw it all on the line, right? If he gets hurt, so be it, but he needs to play that way. The Saints are playing good enough to win. They just haven't been able to put everything together. Once this team that's why I feel like if this team can just punch their way to the playoffs, man, I'm telling you, like, this is a team that can get to the Super Bowl. And who the hell, again, I don't want to put that out there and say, they're going to make the Super Bowl, make them have to live up to that. But I think this team has the defense and has the offense to be able to do so. So let me ask you this now. Let's sum this up. How far can Derek Carr take the Saints? Now, this doesn't mean Derek Carr specifically, right? I'm just saying the Saints. How far can he help get this team go? So your prediction right now is what? Give me like a roundabout record, whether or not they make the playoffs and how far into the playoffs, if not all the way to the Super Bowl. What's
if
your
this offense can average 24, 25 points per game, man, this team is an 11-win, 12-win team. Just because that defense is that elite, I don't think you don't have to give much credit to the offense, even though the playmakers are there. But the defense is your bread and butter of this team. Your head coach is a defensive man. I think they can get 11 and 12 wins, but not with what I've been seeing. What I have been seeing is not an 11 and 12 win team, because if you're holding teams to 17 points a game and you're scoring 15, you're going to go 50-50 after that time. But if Derek Carr can get it going, which I believe he will in these next 2 weeks, Pete Carmichael finally, takes it with his chin and finally calls these games the way you're supposed to. Don't be too cute, but don't be so bland that no one's moving before the snap. And get these guys open midfield, short field. Give Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed rack chances. Give these guys. I haven't seen Michael Thomas. There is something. Michael Thomas has ran 10 slants this season.
Yep.
4 games, 10 slants. I don't know if we're trying to prove very wrong. He's not slant man. Give that man a slant. Let him run 10, 15, 20. It works.
Do it again.
Give Michael Thomas a slant. Let him run that ball. We are getting no yards after catch at all. This is a hitch route, 5-yard catch. Run the ball for 2 yards. Derek Carr gets sacked on 3rd down. That's what this offense is.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's exactly why when people start pointing fingers, I can't point it. I watched every game. I've been watching more Saints games than I have Raiders games. I really have no use for that. That team right there, Raiders, I have no use for them. None. I'd rather watch the Saints at this point. And when I watch the Saints play, it's just 5-yard hitch route, 5-yard hitch route, 5-yard hitch route, sack, run the ball for 2 yards. You got to be a little bit physical. I want to see is Jamal Williams coming back anytime soon, or is he down? Right?
I have no idea. I can't tell you right now.
You need someone to punch him in the mouth, man. You need someone that can punch the defense in the mouth, be a little bit physical, swing past to Kamara, 5 yards, hand it off to Jamal Williams, punch him in the mouth for 3 yards, then throw that slant route to Thomas, 3-4 yards. Then take a double move shot to Olave down the sideline. You gotta get creative. You gotta stop. Look, Taysom Hill is a dog. He really is. He runs some people over. But this Taysom Hill stuff, running Carr off the field every other play, having him run all the way back out, does it work sometimes? Yes. But I'm just getting tired of this fake offense. Go a little bit of old school. That's what worked for the Raiders. They did an I formation, old school offense. You get a fullback that can block and a running back that can run. You punch the defense in the mouth. You run some slants, and then you set up the deep ball. That's what can win this team games. They got the personnel. They just don't have the play caller. Pete Carmichael has to do a better job setting up some deep shots for the offense. This is my opinion. I believe the New Orleans Saints will finish with a record of around a 10-7 record, ultimately probably make the divisional round. And again, I mean, if they can piece a few wins together, you don't freaking know what can happen in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They go in the divisional round during the conference. If they pull that game out, they're in the damn Super Bowl. So you really don't know. But I feel like saying them making it to the divisional round, even if they lose the divisional round, that's an absolute success story for year one for the Saints team with Derek Carr. I believe so. And another thing, I don't know where you fall with the Dennis Allen slander. I honestly don't mind. He's doing a good job with that defense. So they just got to figure out the offense. If they can do so, this team will be a constant playoff team. What's your final take? We got 2 minutes. Do you feel like that's a fair assessment around that divisional round? And what do you got?
I mean, I think playoffs is the fair thing if it's wild card divisional. I think playoffs is definitely there, but right now you're now not leading division anymore. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers lead the NFC South. I think they were given the worst chance this season to lead it, and look who's doing it. And they're playing good football. Baker Mayfield looks good, so I don't truly know what you have in the Buccaneers. I really don't. They look like a good team. I don't know if our offense was that bad. I haven't been watching too much of them, but they look like a good team. So I don't know what you really have in them. But I do know the Saints have the best quarterback right now, and they're not showing that.
Yep.
I mean, your points per games are the same as the Falcons with Desmond Ridder.
That can't be happening. Again, that cannot be happening. So I agree with you. I mean, it needs to be fixed, and I'm hoping that they can get into the laboratory. Hopefully, man, I'm hoping John, Coach Brew, will call up Pete Carmichael and just give him a few tips on what to do here, because there is so much more. This is the most talented offense, I feel like, besides the offensive line maybe, that Carr's played for, and the best defense by far. So there is really no excuse for this team not to be winning more games. And again, I kind of blame that more on coaching, but we'll see what happens. That's all from us. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Kyle, I appreciate having you on. We got a lot more of these coming forward, hopefully. Go check out his articles and check out 504.saints, right, on YouTube?
Yep.
On Instagram. On Instagram. Yep. Go check them out. It's great content. We'll see you guys soon. Peace. We are Bill Betters.
180. 180, set.
Hehehehe